Take it easy. That route will always be back there in case you want to go back to it. Maybe I'll finish this game so fast that I can just continue on the route without you guys ever having seen this one, and then I can just upload this afterwards. I just want to do this route first, you know? I let me go with her own pace, and she doesn't show any mercy, pulling half a lap ahead of me in an instant. I don't blame her. I mean, it's not as if I'm really putting up any sort of real fight out here, is it? Instead, I'm just running at a steady pace, which is what I should be doing, right? No need to go pushing my limits at this stage of the game. God, is this even worth it? As we finish the second lap, I break off again. Emmy keeps going. It almost seems to me that she's disappointed. Well, that's stupid. I have anything to prove to her. Come to think, I've got nothing to prove to myself either. I'm just fine the way I am. And what I'm not is a runner. That was probably a bad idea. Maybe there's something else I can do instead of this. Game necessarily sucks anyway. There gotta be some other way to keep it healthy. Walking, maybe. Nice afternoon walks. Yeah, that sounds good. Running is not for me. I'll wave to Enemy and head back to my room. I'll think of something else later. Back in my room, the first thing I see is the familiar row of medication bottles lined up on the top of my dresser. It makes me depressed, as usual. It's annoying. I thought I was okay. I thought I made peace with this thing, gotten over it. But what I really did, I allowed myself to forget that I have a problem. Being here really reminds me of the reality, and trying to fight against it just hurts. Reflecting on it is only going to do so much. I've done this before, for months, and it seems like it's time to get over it. If I allow myself to forget, then my life is definitely not going to be as long as those of others. I won't get anywhere. My life may be different from others, but it's a life in progress. That's how I rationalize it. I down the usual handful of pills, trying to push the sudden dreary feeling out of my head. Then I prepare to head out to class early, as usual. As I step into the hallway, I notice Kenji coming around the hallway corner, stealthily making his way over to his own room with a large bag. As he sneaks past me, soundlessly like a ninja hiding in plain sight, I call out to him. Hey. He jumps at the sound of my voice. Oh, hey man, I didn't notice you were there. I'm really tired. I think it's more like he didn't see me, but that's not the issue. Where have you been this early? Shopping? Nah, I wasn't shopping. Sometimes I visit the math teacher. Yeah, I figured it would be a good idea to find out when the next exam is, since he tells you in advance if you want. So then, what's in the bag? I thought I'd go shopping while I was outside. I need supplies to continue the fight against the fast vendor conspiracy. Okay. I thought you didn't go outside. I wear a hat now. I decide to not point out that he is not wearing a hat. An awkward silence settles between us, and then Kenji breaks it by pushing his door open slowly, releasing a creaking sound into the air that only makes the moment seem more awkward. He sets the bag down inside his room and then closes the door. I'm surprised you went out of your way to find out a test date. Trying to take advantage of an opportunity to study is pretty diligent. I never study. Oh. I just want to know when the next test day was. I'm still gonna take it, duh. I need to know so I know what day I can't afford to skip class. He usually sends out updates on that crap by phone, so I had to step out and check up on it. And why do you have to go out? Why can't you get it on your phone? I don't carry a phone. What do you mean you don't carry a phone? You mean you just leave it at home? Nah, I don't use phones. I don't have a phone. Phones? I have no phone. Why don't you have a phone? How can you have no phone? No phone at all? No phone? I just don't like phones. Actually, I'm kind of scared of them. I don't know why. I think it's some kind of repressed trauma. Basically, when I hear a phone, I get nervous. It's my darkest secret. I have two theories on it. Either I have some fear of receiving some undefined, ominous, life-altering doom call, or else being with the phone in the past, being so badly I can't remember it. Being in the head. Well, where else could I get being with a phone that would make me unable to remember it? The ass? Unexpectedly logical. I feel very depressed now. Saying this conversation is more or less over, Kenji opens his door again and prepares to head inside. Yeah, I'm gonna sleep, dude. Have a good one. Class is gonna start in like 20 minutes. I already did something today. Too tired to go to school. Hey, need some lip balm? I actually bought two because I thought the store had started selling individual AA batteries. Thanks, but no thanks. Whatever, man. He swiftly enters his lair, finally letting me go to the class. For a change, I'm not among the first ones to come to the morning class. Instead, almost everyone else seems to be here already. I recognize most of my class by their faces now, though the names escape me still. So I'm not late today. Good. Class goes on lazily. I think I'm starting to get into the rhythm of the school. I've even stopped worrying about taking notes and being overly attentive. The first day I was pretty high strung in class. Muto finishes the lecture about electricity early, but continues without pause about the festival. So should I just skip this because we literally just read this stuff? So, as you know, the festival's on the way up day after tomorrow. I hope everyone's projects are going to be successful this year. Have a good time, but also come Sunday, please remember the meaning of this festival in your minds.
Games and fried food!
Everyone burst out in laughter. So do I. Yes, thank you, Mikado. But what I mean was more the remainder of his sentence is buried beneath the ringing of the lunch bells, and everyone starts packing up their things. Muto deliberates for a moment, but since almost nobody seems to pay attention anymore, he gives up and sits down. I kinda wanna know what this festival is about, but whatever. Okay, so we just got through all that. So where are we going now? Because obviously we're not heading to the roof. It's crowded in the hallway. Or as crowded as hallways in the school probably get. Most of the students seem to be heading down to the cafeteria.
Hisao! I'm gonna make you a one-time, only super extra special lunch offer.
Okay, never mind, I was wrong.
Emmy's homemade lunch boxes, and the privilege of enjoying them in private with 2 bombshell beauties.
Her overly flirtatious sales pitch echoes in the hallway. A remarkable feat since it's full of people. Emmy strikes a very confident-looking pose, as though it was an attempt to one-up her own ridiculousness, puffing up her very modest chest and making the V for victory sign with her hand. Sounds delicious. To what do I owe this honor of being invited?
You stood there looking really lost and sad, so I thought you could use some company.
That is probably the most depressing reason imaginable.
So how about it? You're probably really lonely and would eat that awful cafeteria food all alone otherwise. I'm kidding.
Sure, I'll have your lunch offer, with pleasure.
Let's go to the roof.
The roof? Why the roof?
Because that's where we eat lunch.
And if I don't get up there, then she'll probably wander off. And then I know she'll just go hungry, because she never packs a lunch for herself. Who will?
Come with me.
Without answering my question or waiting for a response, she grabs me by the arm and drags me through the hallways. I attempt to make conversation on the way. Why do you have an extra lunch? Emmy smiles guiltily.
Actually, it's yesterday's lunch. I slipped in a run at lunch and forgot to eat it.
Huh. I guess that's why she gave it to me in the first place. The stairway to the roof is a little dilapidated, but it's clearly been used recently. At the top of the stairs is a door, complete with missing padlock. I wonder who the intrepid individual was that removed the lock. Emmy shoves the door open and steps beaming into the sunlight. Suddenly, a tall, dark stranger appears out of nowhere, standing imposingly in front of us. Emmy flinches back, almost falling back down the stairs.
Eek!
Hello?
Yipes! You scared me, Rin.
Wait, isn't she... Hello? Noticing that Rin is speaking to me, Emmy looks curiously at me.
You two know each other?
I look confusedly at Emmy. She's that friend of yours? Rin has turned her gaze towards the clouds drifting above the school. I didn't know you knew this person, Emmy. Wow. The awkward silence lasts only a few seconds until Lemmy! You are now a Lemmy! Lets out a tiny giggle, shrugging the coincidence off.
I invited Hisao for lunch. If you know him, that's just better.
Oh? Does this mean I don't get food? Or did you invite him for lunch without the lunch?
Neither. I have food for 3.
Nice thinking. They walk to the other end of the roof while I stay at the clock tower for a while, taking in the atmosphere. There's nobody else but us here. I guess the roof is not as popular as it is in the other schools. A few rundown benches and tables are scattered around the edges. I don't see any, but okay. Perhaps in an attempt to make the rooftop look less desolate. But didn't you just say that there was a padlock, which means people aren't supposed to be up here in the first place? Unless Emmy and Rin brought them up here. The small pebbles covering the roof right up beneath our feet. I peek through the chain link fence to take a look at the school grounds and beyond. Students are strolling in pairs and groups around the quadrangle and at the cafeteria. A few delivery trucks are passing the school towards the convenience store nearby. Somewhere, a watchdog barks at a passerby. Somehow, when I look towards the town center, the small town feel strikes me very strongly, almost palpably. The hectic lifestyle of big metropolises seems so far away and foreign here. Nobody has to run and catch a bus like their life depended on it, or get their senses overloaded by the neon lights and traffic jams. I feel surprisingly optimistic about this new life of mine. Looking at my new hometown, even if it's going to be mine for only one short year. Finding about my illness and not having to move away from home all came so suddenly that I haven't had the time to think about how I feel about it. When I step out of the shadow of the clock tower to the open, I feel the warmth of it touching my back. The sun shines from a perfectly clear cerulean sky. This is not perfectly clear at all, but I guess it's partially cloudy. A cool breeze sweeping over the rooftop makes me shiver, but only briefly. The wind carries the scent of trees and flowers, not smog and car exhaust like it used to just a few weeks ago. Emmy settles on a branch with Rin in tow and produces 1 big and 2 small lunchboxes from her bag.
Come on, Hisao. What are you waiting for?
She's beckoning me to join them, making room on the already small bench. I see myself on the corner of the bench to take as little space as possible. It's pretty cramped, but somehow all 3 of us fit on it. Impressive view. Emmy suppresses a giggle and places the lunchbox in front of Rin and hands another lunchbox to me.
Here you go, lunch as promised.
Homemade no less. I'm impressed. Oh wow, this looks really good.
Thanks, I'm making myself when I can.
Conversation dies off as I set about the business of feeding myself. Taking a few bites, I glance up and notice Rin deftly opening the lunchbox and popping a forkful of food in her mouth, using only her feet. Even though I've seen her do it before, I can't help but be impressed at her dexterity. It's also a reminder of the sort of place I'm in right now. Will I ever get used to sights such as this? We're trying to, Hisao, if you would stop bringing them up! I can't decide if getting used to such a thing would be a good or a bad thing. Good! Clearly good, considering we're going to be in this class, or this school for a whole year, at least less than a year? I don't know how long we're going to be here. We transferred in like half the year, right? Does getting used to this place means I'm giving up on being a normal person? They're all normal! Or does it just mean I'm becoming more understanding about those around me? Yes, that one! I'm distracted from my thoughts by the sight of Emmy tearing into the lunch, as if it had insulted her ancestors. You seem pretty hungry. Emmy looks up, mouth half full, and smiles before nodding.
My morning run always works up an appetite. Which is great, because then I burn through lunch pretty quickly. Helps me keep my girlish figure.
What would happen if you lose it? Would you become a man? I very nearly choke on my lunch trying not to laugh.
It's a figure of speech.
Does your figure have to run in the mornings too? Do you always talk like this?
Like what?
I think that answers my question. Never mind. So, I struggle with thinking of small talk and settle on the obvious question. How'd you two meet? Rin seems content to let Emmy answer this question.
Someone in the housing department thought we'd compliment each other well, so we were assigned rooms next to one another.
Compliment each other? Like shoes in a suit? Huh?
Emmy giggles at my confusion. Put us together, and we've got all our limbs, get it?
Ah.
So, I started helping Rin get ready in the mornings, and that was that.
I mean,
you can't help someone get dressed every morning and not get along.
I see. Rin chooses this moment to interject. I have trouble with shirts. Right, that seems fairly obvious. Really? Kind of? This isn't helping, but at least Emmy seems to find the whole thing funny. That, combined with the fact that Rin is generally curious, makes me feel slightly better and yet confused. I mean, you've got no arms. So, putting on a shirt just seems like one of those things that would be difficult. You know, I'm just gonna stop talking now. It'll save me a lot of trouble in the long run. Rin nods in what I suspect is meant to be a sage manner. Are you, like, always stoned or something? I'm sorry, Rin, but... I see. The conversation dies as I turn my attention back to my lunch. It's really quite good. Emmy finishes her lunch first and makes a contented noise.
Ah, that was good!
As she busies herself with cleaning up her lunch, Rin speaks up. I'm thirsty.
Oh, I almost forgot about that, sorry!
With a flourish, she reaches into her bag and removes a trio of juice boxes. She tosses me one that appears to be cranberry juice, one to Rin that appears to be some kind of strawberry milk, complete with pink color scheme, and keeps an equally pink box of some kind of fruit punch to herself. Rin dexterously stabs her straw through the top of her lunchbox and begins to drink. I'm once again impressed by how flexible she is, but this time I keep my comment to myself. You kept it to yourself last time. Somehow, I don't think Emmy or Rin are the sorts of people who would think twice about the way they work around their particular disabilities. Well, Emmy doesn't really seem to have a problem. She has legs, Rin especially so. Indeed, she gives off the impression of being entirely unaware that she's missing any limbs at all. Whether or not that's a conscious decision is another matter. I'm honestly not sure.
So, Hisao, how do you like it up here?
It's quite nice, actually. I like high places for the view. Thanks for inviting me up here. And for the lunch, too. Emmy grins a 1,000-watt grin. Pleased my response, I suppose.
No problem. Feel free to eat with us next time, okay, too? I won't make you lunch, but you can bring your own up here.
No lunch service? I don't know. Emmy looks mock offended.
Trying to take advantage of my good nature? The nerve.
She giggles.
Well, if that's your answer, I guess Rin and I will just keep eating lunch all alone.
I am suddenly assaulted by the most heart-rending puppy dog eyes I've ever seen, as Emmy pouts. I'm kidding, I was kidding. I'd love to eat lunch up here again. Good location, and the company's okay too. Emmy frowns a bit at my declaration of okay, but seems happy enough that I've accepted her invitation. I guess that makes us friends now. Or at least acquaintances. So, We're not really friends with Shizune and Misha anymore. They kind of hate me. We're friends with Lily and Hanako, kind of, and we're friends with these two now. Cool. The lunch bell rings, signaling a return downstairs.
Urin, you didn't finish your lunch again.
No, I wasn't that hungry.
If you don't eat more, you're gonna fade away.
Rin shrugs, as if this is an acceptable risk. Come on, we better get going. Three of us head down the stairs together. So what classes do you two have? I assume there's only 4 classrooms up here, on this floor. And I'm assuming you're third year's kid, not second year or first years. I don't know though. The afternoon class passes. Once again, I find myself without a plan for something to do after school, so I head to the library to return a couple of the books I finished reading. Walking inside, I see that there are about as many students here as there were Tuesday, all the more evident from the almost total silence enveloping the room. As I drop the books I borrowed into the return slots on the counter, Yugo suddenly pops up from behind it, quite startled from the banging they make as they hit the trolley next door. Ah, sorry Yugo, I didn't mean to startle you.
No, that's fine. It happens a lot. I'm used to it by now. Can I help you?
It's okay. I think I know where everything is. Thanks anyway. I suppose I'll grab another book or two while I'm here. There's not much else to do. And after reading so much during my stay in the hospital, it's become a hard habit to break. I wander down to the fiction section, towards the back of the library, scanning the bookshelves for anything that catches my eye. As I do, I look over to the corner where Hanako had been the last time I was here, not really expecting anything to come of it. But, surprisingly, she's there, absorbed completely in a fairly thick book. I decide against intruding on her like last time and get back to finding reading material. Aw, fine. After an indiscernible amount of time spent perusing the aisles, I finally decide on a couple books to get and slide them off the shelf. With a minimum of fuss, I quickly walk over to the counter, check out my books, and pop them into my bag as I walk out. By the time I leave the main building, sunset isn't too far away. A small trickle of students remain, but the majority have left, presumably to their own homes and dorms. I just need to buy some supplies. Can't live off cafeteria food and eating out for my entire stay here. As I leave for the gate, I make a few loud stretches to try and stave off the tiredness that's accumulated over the week. After passing through and rounding the corner, though, I see a solitary figure walking downhill towards the small town below. The color of her hair and tapping of her cane are unmistakable. I quickly walk up to her, which seems to catch her attention, without a word needing to be said. Hi, Lily. She takes a moment to place with the voice, slightly adjusting her head to face a bit more towards the source of my voice as she does. Hisao? Yep, that's me. She seemed to have good memory voices. The fact that she actually remembered is a pleasant surprise. Good evening. What brings you here? Once again, she gives a small polite bow, and once again, I reply in kind before realizing that I didn't even do so. I'm just going into town. You? My, what a coincidence. Doing the same thing, eh? I usually go shopping on Fridays. She pauses for a moment, suddenly looking a little lost. That said, Hanako usually comes into town with me. Ah, not lost but worried. The two do seem to keep pretty close tabs on one another. It's kind of surprising that Hanako would just forget Lily like that. I noticed her reading in the library. She probably just got caught up in a book. She lets out a small sigh of relief. Thank you. She has the habit of doing that. Avid reader? Right. She doesn't like being around crowds of people, so reading away from everyone lets her relax a bit. Though she probably didn't intend it, I can't help but grimace as I recall my first meeting with her. Hardly wanted to bring it up, I remained silent as we continue to walk down the quiet road. Tack, 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 tack. With the road bereft of cars and students of Yamaku increasingly far behind us, the quiet rustling of the leaves and the measured tapping of Lily's cane against the sidewalk are all that can be heard. It's kinda nice, especially compared to the hustle and bustle of where I used to live. Before I know it, I've relaxed so much that a loud yawn escapes before I'm able to control it. Tired? Yeah, I've been running ragged these past few days. That's an understatement, to be sure. Transferring into a different school would be bad enough, but nothing like this. Well, hopefully everything should settle down for you. The festival's got everyone in a spin right now, and you've been plopped right in the middle of things. For a moment I hesitate, but given her apparent tolerance for frankness, I decide to give my full thoughts. I guess. Yamaku's kind of different, though. I mean, the formalities surrounding everything, the isolation around it, not to mention the most obvious difference. It's kind of a whole different mindset. I suppose I get used to it in time, though. She gives a matter-of-fact nod, apparently pleased with my answer. It feels almost as if she's included me in the flock of students she's shepherding, along with Class 3-2 and Hanako. Well, not that I mind. It's nice to get the thoughts off my chest in any case. Looking on the bright side, one could see it as a chance for a new beginning, and you should cherish the ability to make new friends. That's optimistic. Nonetheless, it's good to have a positive attitude about such things, I suppose. I guess that's a good take on it. God damn it. Walking down the road, she seems to become somewhat unsettled. Before I can ask what's on her mind, she seems to collect herself and speaks up about something else.
So, where in town were you going?
That's actually a pretty good question. I'd come in to buy food, but the layout of the place is still totally foreign to me. I had intended to just wander around and see what I could find, but with sunset already approaching and nightfall not too far away, that doesn't seem very wise. I'm gonna have to ask her for directions. Again. I was just gonna go get some food, but now that you mention it, I don't really know the way.
Well now, this is quite lucky. I was just about to go to the convenience store myself.
Looks like I'll be in your care again. Thanks. Together we walk to the store. My pace is carefully slow to remain beside her. Compared to my usual walking pace, hers is quite a bit slower, not that it's without reason. Well, of course. After what could be more than several minutes, I catch sight of our objective. This town really is pretty small. Without further ado, we make our way inside with a greeting from the counter.
Mind if I tag along with you? Usually Hanako would help me, but seeing as she's not here.
It takes me a moment before I realize what she means. Considering she wouldn't be able to read any labels, shopping without any help would be a big pain for her. That said, I can't shake the feeling she'd had this idea since I said I was coming here. Sure, it would be my pleasure. I grab 2 well-used red baskets from the small stack beside the entrance, handing one to Lily. She lays it on the ground, putting her school bag in, retracting her cane and sliding it through the basket's handles before picking it back up in her right hand. Wait, if she doesn't use her cane... Before I can complete the thought, she comes beside me and pinches at the cup of my uniform in her slender fingers.
Is this alright?
Ah, sure. I have no reason not to accept. I can think of worse things than shopping with a pretty girl holding on to me, even if it's out of necessity. We navigate our way through the store, with not one of the occasional passing customers seeming to bat an eyelid. Considering how close Yamaku is, I guess seeing students from there must be entirely normal for the local residents. As we reach each aisle, I quickly check with Lily and find out what she needs. I grab her along with what I'm looking for, and put our items into their respective baskets. I guess this is the same routine she and Hanako follow every Friday. Right, all that's left is the bread, and that should be my shopping done. Do you need anything else, Lily?
No, this should be everything.
Off we go then. With a quick side trip to the bakery section, we make our way to the registers. The line, thankfully, is almost non-existent. It's not long before we've both paid for our food and are out the door. As Lily retrieves her can and extends it to full length, I waste a minute looking upwards at the night sky, while holding both of our bags. For a moment, I try to make clouds with my breath, but the summer's heat doesn't seem to cooperate. Eventually, she rights herself, taking a quick stretch before taking her bag and leaving me to my 2.
You tired as well? The festival's preparations have been complete chaos. Just in it breathing down my neck doesn't exactly help things either.
I'm surprised you don't call her Hakamichi. Hey, she's only trying to get everything organized. Better now than later, right?
I suppose. I'm going to enjoy relaxing in town tomorrow, that's for certain.
I guess the festival preparation must be taking the toll on both of them. We walk out into the quiet street, talking between ourselves as we carry our bags of food and supplies from the store. Oh wait, what's that? I notice a very distinctive figure making its way towards us, silhouetted by street lamps. For a second, I think it's another male student from my class, but as he, or I should say she, gets closer, I recognize her quickly. Rin? What are you doing out here so late?
Rin?
Lily pokes her head, looking like she's trying to focus on listening more keenly. It suddenly comes to me that I should probably interrupt the scene for her. It's Rin Tsuzuka, I think that was her last name, from our school. She stiffens at the name, and gives a complicated-looking expression, something like a forced fusion of a composed smile and a painful cringe.
Ah, I understand.
I guess Lily knows Rin, too. Rin tries to look at us, looking terribly out of it. I'm not entirely sure if she recognizes either of us, or at least she doesn't acknowledge it if she does. She looks like a zombie, or a statue of a zombie. But slowly, some symptoms of understanding seem to light in her dark eyes. This is something she must react to. Rin blinks one, very thoroughly.
Hello.
There's an awkward pause, everyone waiting for someone else to say something. What are you doing here this late?
I was wondering that myself too just now. Some people asked me that just before. I assumed they were wondering the same. They didn't know. I didn't know either. I asked. And that's why I'm wondering. So that was pretty much it. It's a murder mystery without a murder. And they were going that way.
She turns facing to her right, in order to demonstrate the direction of the other people went, as if that were important. Then rotates back like a mechanical puppet, in one of those overly complicated clockworks. For a person who gives the impression of being quiet type, Rin really does use a lot of words to say things that don't need to be said. Unsure if she's finished, I say nothing. Neither does Lily, who seems equally robbed of words for the time being. I think that both of us are in fact just scared that any response might provoke her to continue. Our stupefied lack of reaction doesn't faze Rin at all. She keeps looking at us expectantly, a calm hint of expression on her blank face.
She seemed to be that kind of person, always so relaxed. As if bull elephant grade sedatives were flowing in her veins in the place of blood. Do you have amnesia? I don't recalling having anything of the sort, though. No, I don't think it's that. The other passerby were probably just worried, though. You do look really lost, the way that you're just standing in the middle of the street. Oh, I see. Maybe I should have taken some other kind of pose in that case. I pondered for a while whether I should chase this angle further, or give up for the sake of my own sanity. I decided on the latter. It seems that most of the time, it's better not to read too deeply into what Rin is babbling about. Talking with Rin is like playing chess with a supercomputer, who does seemingly completely random moves, as if to mock everything you know about chess. It's like that, except with human interaction. And even if I win, it feels like losing. Damn, it's just like Kenji said. Even when I win, I lose. Is this the power of the girls of Yamaku? I pushed the thought aside as too dangerous to consider further. It's probably just Kenji's anti-female propaganda getting to me in a moment of weakness. Yeah, maybe taking another pose might have worked. So anyway, you have no idea what you're doing here? She frowns, looking extremely displeased at either my question, its consequences, or the answer she's about to give. I do have some idea. I can't really tell what kind of an idea. Well, that's another progress, at least. Lily sounds as if she spotted an opening for some kind of discernibly normal conversation. I can't say I share optimism. Yes, there is some, definitely. The rest will come later. I'm sure of it. I always have reasons. The ensuing silence kills Lily's hopes, all too visibly. That didn't last long. Rin's, as far as I could tell, unbased assurances aside, what should be done? We could just leave her to her own devices, whatever those are, but it's late, and I don't think we'll be getting any thanks if Rin is found standing here in the middle of the night. Which she probably will unless she manages to remember what she was doing here in the first place. As for me trying to guess what that might have been, going on in her mind when she decided to embark on this adventure, the chances seem to be on par with the winning the lottery. Several times in a row. Lily is oddly quiet too. I'd appreciate some support from her sign-lights here, especially if she's more familiar with Rin than I am. But it can't be helped, it seems her familiarity with Rin is exactly why she's staying subdued. So I assume you were going somewhere, not coming back to the school. Any idea where? Her eyes widen in shock and she jolts back in a somewhat artificial way, making it seem like an act rehearsed for situations like this. Are you a mind reader? Is that your disability? How unique. No, why would you think that? You knew what I was doing. I was just an educated guess. We walked the same street in the other direction just before to get to the store. If you were going back to the school, we would have met you on the way. Oh. She looks a little disappointed. Like Kenji, Rin appears quick to jump to completely irrational conclusions. Maybe it's just something in the water here. I make mental note to stock up on soft drinks. Ugh. Get milk. You know, that's the second time this week that someone's asked if I was a mind reader. Really give off that impression? Rin shrugs her shoulders, which is all the answer I get. You know, maybe you should go back with us to the school. Lee interjects, is just about to further debunk my alleged mind reader capabilities. She sounds rather concerned, the paper-thin smile on her face, badly disguising that fact. Yeah, I know, I would probably be getting fed up with this too. Maybe she came to the same conclusions I did. For everyone's sake, I decided to let the mind-reading topic drop, as it's entirely inane anyway. Yeah, Lily's right. If you can't remember, there's no point in staying here. Rin considers this rather simple deduction for a moment, then nods. Okay.